Here at Crow Hill, we're passionate about travelling far and wide to discover diverse musical cultures. But sometimes the greatest discoveries are right on your doorstep. Every winter, Glasgow comes alive with sounds from across the world. Celtic Connections brings together folk, roots and traditional music, combining established names with up-and-coming artists, with collaborations you wouldn't normally see on the same stage. In this video, I chat with the people who bring Celtic Connections to life, covering topics ranging from what the festival means to them, to how trad sessions work, to its vast and colourful history as a festival. Welcome to Adventures in Sound. We're in Glasgow. Once the beating heart of Britain's shipbuilding industry along the River Clyde, it transformed from an industrial powerhouse into one of the UK's most creative and culturally vibrant cities. Its character, gritty yet spirited and unpretentious, sets the perfect stage for Celtic Connections. I'm fascinated by the recent resurgence in appreciation for Scottish and traditional Irish music, and Glasgow is undeniably the epicentre of that comeback in Scotland. I'm sitting down with the creative producer of Celtic Connections, Donald Shaw. Donald Shaw is a Scottish musician and composer, well known for being a founding member of the acclaimed band Capercaillie. I want to explore the vast world of traditional Scottish songs, as well as his role at Celtic Connections, and how the festival has evolved.
So Celtic Connections started 34 years ago, literally only a few years after this venue opened. You might think it was some kind of magical theory behind Celtic Connections starting, but actually it was someone quite smart in the venue who said, you know what, nothing ever happens here in January. Why don't we do something a bit different? I think at that time, 1994, there was kind of a real feeling that there was, if you like, a resurgence in folk music generally, traditional music, Celtic music particularly. There'd been some big artists coming out of Scotland and Ireland from Celtic music tradition. And I think the feeling was maybe they could run a few shows here in the concert hall in January and see how it worked. And of course it was a success. I think there was 12 concerts that first year. And now this year we had over 200 concerts, so yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And it's been I read that it was a record-breaking year in terms of sales, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely over 130, 140,000 tickets
Incredible.
over the festival.
That's so great.
And obviously, this is still right at the heart of it, this venue, but across the city on the big nights, there could be 25 or 30 venues happening. Yeah.
So what's your sense of why there was this surge in numbers? Because you mentioned about a resurgence in the popularity of folk music when it was first established as a festival.
Yeah.
Do you think there's been a kind of another one that's happened?
Well, I think importantly in Scotland there's been a renaissance of traditional. You have to remember that when I was at school 35, 40 years ago, and I was learning the accordion, my dad taught me the accordion, and I really loved traditional music. I would definitely not have been telling my friends that I played the accordion, it was not a cool thing to do, right? And in actual fact, the band Capercaillie that I started touring with around the world, we were like 6 people from Oban High School out of 1,000 students. There was maybe a dozen kids that had the same love of traditional music. You could only really see traditional music on TV in not at the perfect setting, which would be like the Hogmanay show with people in kilts singing songs about the glens and the hills. And in fact, there was this whole underculture, which was kind of the real music of Scotland, the folk music that went back centuries, that it was kind of ghettoised almost. And that started to change really with the youth movement. That happened to change where younger people started to fall in love with their own folk music, and you know, there'd be workshops and master classes and festivals, and the reality is that now you would stand outside any school gate in rural Scotland and see people going in with an accordion and a clarsach and a fiddle and pipe. So it's about the playing of the music. You know, it sparked a whole new conversation and a whole new vocabulary, if you like, of young musicians playing traditional music. And so it starts with the musicians, and then the audience comes. So that's kind of really.
So how do you think it's maintained that relevance for so long? Because it's obviously incredibly ancient forms that we're dealing with here. Yeah. Why is it still a relevant thing?
You know what? I think folk music generally has its own internal filter system, where if a melody is strong enough, or the rhythm or the story is strong enough, it carries on. Within traditional music in Scotland, you can be playing tunes and songs that are 500, 600 years old. And that's before we even consider about the Celts themselves. The Celts were a touring tribe from, 500, 600 AD. So, we are looking at 1,500 years of the opportunity for music to exist for the people in some form. And folk music is essentially the music of the people. Another thing which is probably really relevant to Celtic music, the Celts, the word Celtic is actually a Germanic word meaning Keltoi, which means secret. So, and part of that was the Celts as a people, they never wrote anything down in their early 600, 700, because they didn't want to give away their secrets about their medicines and their recipes and their ideas about war and all that. And part of that was culture. So you would always teach your son or daughter, or your grandson or your daughter, the song or the story. And that's what kept it alive, because it was passed on from one generation to another. And actually the power of that, where you have to remember the song and the tune, is more powerful than it being left in a book.
Exactly.
So we can discover these stories or songs in libraries, but the reality is if someone can just stand up and sing a 25-verse song because they've been taught it.
That's interesting. And there's also with one song, with any Scottish song that's really, really old. There's many different versions in lyrics, for example, because they could be misheard or misremembered or whatever, and then the kind of personal adaptations of them.
The adaptations mostly, you find, have come through the travelling of the song. So, and that's why you have these, what we call traditional music in the States, in Canada, North America, would be people going from here to fight in the civil wars, for example, and taking their fiddle and teaching tunes, and those tunes evolve into bluegrass and country music, and so that's a whole new tradition, but it's based on our music, really. I think as well was an element of it being precious, and it was protected. You even find within the travelling people communities, which are sadly a bit dispersed now, but were always obviously really strong in past times, and the travelling communities would have songs that they would pass on from, say, a mother to a daughter, and the daughter is not allowed to publicly sing that song until the mother died. So it would be treasured as something kind of and passed on like that. So the music becomes
sacred almost.
Sacred and a way of life. I think that's the most important thing about traditional music. You think of it as it can be joyful in terms of it's your route to celebration in terms of music, or it can be medicinal. I see that a lot now with world music and artists who have travelled from really fraught situations, and you meet immigrant musicians from warring factions in the Middle East or Northern Africa, and they talk about that the songs they have is sometimes the only thing they have left. Like they don't have money in their pocket. They don't have, if their family has been killed in war or something, they literally, the only thing they have that's real is their music. They sing the songs, so it's medicinal in that sense. So yeah, I suppose the music is, folk music has that kind of power that it's kind of connecting the past with the present and the future.
Yeah. What struck me looking at the programme, especially for this year, is that you have very large names like Emmylou Harris,
Sure.
but also you provide a platform for more emerging artists. And I was wondering how you strike that balance.
It's so important. I mean, the emerging element to it is the future of the festival. How we do that is consistently reminding ourselves that the backbone of the festival and the reason the festival existed in the first place was to give an opportunity to folk and roots and traditional music. So that's still the backbone of the festival. And we're constantly fascinated by the new young generation, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I think it's the kind of festival that if we know that the festival's coming back every year, then we can present an artist knowing that if they resonate with an audience, they'll come back the next year and the audience grows for them.
Right.
So we can find a way to put them on a pedestal and kind of give oxygen to experiments musically.
Right.
Almost, you know? Some of them are fail, but mostly they're successful. Or maybe they just change a little bit about how they're doing it. And one of the big elements of the festival is the international outlook of it, you know, and particularly world music. I think of traditional music as world music. I think of Gaelic song as being no different to the work songs of the fringes of Western Africa. You know, I think of it in the same way. You know, it's kind of repetitive phrases, and the lyrics are about about the big subjects in life. They're about love and life and work and immigration and death, and so there's big stuff. So that's really what's in the stories of traditional music. So world music across the world, where you're talking about African work songs or Indian ragas or Scandinavian, we're all kind of saying the same language, but just with a different accent.
Yeah, that's interesting. The universal human experience is expressed through all these disparate cultural things. That's amazing. Yeah, and I love the ethos of taking risk as well in Celtic Connections. I don't know if that's probably not broad stroke across all festivals. Probably not a lot of them will want to take the risks that maybe you're taking. So that's really great.
Well, I think there is a situation where an artist like Emmylou Harris, for instance, who's coming in and she's playing in a huge venue, and it's a successful concert, and that there may be a revenue stream coming out of that concert where she's literally financing our next experimental project next year. So it's a bit like, I guess, a record label where the bigger stars are by the record sales that some of that money is helping to then help the next generation produce music. Sense. So it's that kind of thing. I
want to talk a little bit about Glasgow and the relevance of Glasgow to the festival, because as far as I'm aware, it's always been held in Glasgow. Right. Why is the city itself of significance to the festival? Why is Glasgow the place for this?
Yeah, I think a number of reasons. I think for the last century, even if you're going back to kind of theatres, again I'm pointing in the wrong direction, but that way, theatres like the Pavilion Theatre or the King's Theatre, the Citizens Theatre, those are venues where you would have had huge artists from the 40s like Nat King Cole, or further back maybe music hall stuff, Laurel and Hardy. So as a city, it has an incredible legacy for music. There was the Apollo, where everyone from Zeppelin to the Beatles performed at some point, and then it's just I don't know, it's just always been an incredible melting pot for music. And again, really important for us as a festival, it's an audience that loves to be surprised. So they will go out and see an artist that they've heard something word of mouth about, but maybe don't have the record, and just, you know, they give support, and so it has that tradition. I think also the makeup of Glasgow is important for Celtic Connections, in that the DNA of Glasgow is maybe 30% Irish, 30% Highland. So that's a good combination for a festival like Celtic Connections.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And thankfully it's becoming an ever increasingly cosmopolitan city. So
Absolutely.
you know, that's fantastic for a festival that wants to express itself with international artists, and draw on folk music traditions from around the world, and to have those audiences, you know, right on our doorstep, is fantastic.
Yeah, great.
I was blown away by Donald's knowledge of Celtic music history, and felt reassured by his adamance that folk music will always have a firm place within all cultures. We want to thank him for taking the time out to sit with us. We're headed to the bustling area of Finniston, towards the Ben Nevis Bar, a renowned host for traditional musicians in Glasgow. It holds what are called trad sessions multiple times a week, which is an informal gathering of traditional musicians. It is a communal, non-commercial experience focused on sharing music rather than performing. I'm chatting with Aaron Ray, a celebrated fiddle player best known for winning the prestigious Young Traditional Music of the Year award in 2022. We had a chance to see Erin in action with her dynamic folk band, Astroblock, which are a collective that are breathing fresh life into the Scottish folk scene. I want to delve deeper with Erin into these traditional forms she is so drawn to, and what makes a trad session tick.
It's really creepy, isn't it?
It is. It's like a robot.
There's something about it which is so like robotic. Something sinister. I don't know what it is. It's like tracking you. Look at it go.
It's the fact that it follows your head. I don't like it. I don't like you.
I don't like it.
For me as an outsider looking in, a session is quite like a mysterious thing. You all seem to have like a collective language, and you're very in sync. All the musicians seem very in sync and seem to understand each other on quite a deep level. So I was wondering if in some way you could demystify that. I want to understand like the structure, like how does it work?
Yeah, so there's definitely like a session etiquette, like you say.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as mystic as you might think.
Yeah.
But I think you just learn through practice. You know, it's like when I came to uni, I probably just went into a session and just absolutely thrashed away.
Yeah.
People were probably going like, God. So you learn quite quickly. But for example, like tonight, there's 2 people running the session, and they are 9 times out of 10 being paid to be there. So they're the kind of people that it's like, right, you are here from 8 till 11 p.m. It's usually like 3 hours. And then you're the ones that are kind of there to get the tunes going and like make sure that they keep going. So obviously if the pub are paying you to be there as well, it's like you're also entertaining to, to a certain degree. And then, yeah, whoever turns up is, like I was saying to you guys earlier, like, I don't know if there's going to be anyone here tonight. You never really know who's going to turn up, which is the fun part about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will just be like 3 of you and it'll be really intimate and like, sort of like really listening to each other and like almost teaching each other tunes. And then sometimes it'll be like 15 fiddle players and just like everybody going ham, and it's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So I like that sort of element of surprise to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to the actual sets that we play, I would pick a tune to start with, for example. Say I usually have a bit of a formula at the start of a session. I will almost always play a jig in G major. So that's how I know I'm gonna get myself warmed up. I always always play a jig in G major. And then usually each tune will get played around anywhere from maybe like 3 to 5 times, as a very general rule. And then I will shout the key of the next tune to the accompanist or accompanists. So then it means that everyone is kind of going into the same thing. Or if I'm changing, say if I decided to go into a reel, I'd be like reel and make sure that, if there's a percussionist or bram player, that everyone's got the message. And we all kind of seamlessly go into the next tune together.
So there's these like unspoken rules and etiquette that everyone kind of just abides by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
And I've actually always thought it was a bit of a gap in the market, if you will. I always thought when we went to uni, I was like, why do they not have a module on this? Because I feel like, like I was saying before, when I came to uni, you don't know these things. Because nobody ever tells you.
Yeah.
So you just get chucked in the deep end and then
it's trial and error.
Start swimming. Yeah.
So if you did like a wrong step, would someone tell you? If you were just kind of in the deep end from the beginning, would someone say, no, that's the wrong thing to do in this session? Or would you just kind of pick up based on people's disgust or whatever?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends how self-aware you are, maybe.
Yeah.
As an outsider looking in, traditional musicians' unique musical language, as well as their communal spirit, was so refreshing to explore. Thank you to Erin for her valuable insights into this world. We're off to the Fruit Market Gallery to meet a renowned, eclectic artist. Yann Tiersen is best known for his delicate, melancholic score for the seminal 2001 film, Amélie. Yet to reduce Yann to that singular success would be to overlook the breadth of a career grounded in experimentation and a deeply personal relationship with sound. In this conversation, I want to sit down with Yann to explore the often overlooked threads that run through his work, particularly his connection to Celtic tradition. We also delved into his compositional process, as well as his wider musical philosophy.
Have you been to Celtic Connections before? Have you played?
No. Been to Glasgow, but not
into Glasgow.
Celtic Connection.
Okay. You've played many festivals in the past. I was wondering if Celtic Connections has any significance in your mind, especially with Brittany being a Celtic.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's I was thinking about it, and lots of the bands that I really like, or just like shape my youth or teenagehood, were kind of Celtic, and lots of them Scottish actually.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of bands?
Yeah, sure. Cocteau Twins.
Of course.
Belle and Sebastian.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Jesus and Mary Chain.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
It's funny.
I was wondering, with Brittany being a Celtic country and obviously Scotland as well, Do you feel at home here, or does it feel quite culturally and musically distinct from Brittany?
I mean, we're really, I got a 8 years old boy, and I raised him in a Breton language, so Celtic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
Culture is quite important for me, and also I like the. I think there is a common, like in Celtic languages, it's the case in Irish, so I'm sure in Scottish Gaelic it's the same. And in Breton language, we don't have like, to have is like made with the verb to be with instead. So there is no sense of
Ownership.
possession and
Yeah,
ownership, and you're more acting and being in harmony with the world.
Right, wow.
And I think it's a big thing.
It must be.
So I'm really into that.
I want to ask a bit about your newest album. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So it's called Rathlin from a Distance, the Liquid Hour. That's
Yeah.
So there's one side that it's introspective piano, kind of more quiet music, and then the Liquid Hour is more kind of driving electronic experimental stuff. I was just wondering what attracts you to those two extremes, and what was the ethos behind
They're not extreme. I always done that.
Yeah.
Like from my first album to actually I did after my first album I did a split album with a post-rock band called Bastard.
Oh, okay.
And it's my second stuff that I did. So I always been like, before it was more guitars, but I start with electronic. That's why I went to acoustic music, because I spent lots of time sampling and listening to records, and at one point I wanted just to just put a microphone because I was able to play some instruments, and I like the sampling approach to sound. So like not seeing an instrument as a thing to develop your skill with, because I'm really bad at that, but more just a sound source. And so then I did like lots of acoustic stuff, like the first albums, and then I switched back to more electric, and then after I switched back to the origin to electronic, because I love like that. To me the acoustic is, or when I find an idea, is like the idea is not that important. It's more the texture and what you can do out of it, because I don't believe in inspiration. I believe in, I don't know, I think music is more a question of like feelings and chance and dance. And I don't put lots of, I don't think inspiration is something valuable. So I think it's more interesting what you can do with just an idea is an idea. It's a pretext to do something and to have fun with it. But good or bad idea, depends what you do with it.
Do you mean inspiration in terms of...
It's term of like this thing, like, I need to find a good idea.
Yeah.
Whatever, you can do a really great song with a shitty thing. So
yeah, that's very true. So you've been exploring since the beginning modular synth stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like modular, and because
in the beginning it was less modular when I was young, but
what was your first
Juno 106?
Juno 106, nice one.
Yeah,
that's a good one to start with.
Yeah, I had like that's my first synth.
Yeah.
And at the same time I had like my first drum machine, and I have to choose between a 909 and a fucking RX-7. And I choose the Yamaha.
Do you still have it? Or no, it's gone. Okay. So then modular, when did you start experimenting with that?
Later, I mean, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's a deep hole to get into, I think. Once you
start. But it's a quite liberation as well, because
totally.
it's like really good to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Synth. Even if you know, but then it's like makes everything more simple. And also, I like I got a studio on the island, which is also a venue, and every year we do a modular synth weekend with like people like doing modulars and builders, and it's open to everybody. And sometimes you get like the old people of the island as well as the young. And but it's good with the modular. It's just like you can do something. It's like it's not it's everybody can do great things with it.
It's true. It's true.
It's no need to know anything about it. You don't
It's just
give
quite
a fuck.
intimidating for people.
It works.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of plug and see if things work. Trial and error is important with modular, I think. So how did the old people react on the island to the modular?
Great. They love it. Yeah. It's
Nice.
funny because we do this in the evening. We got proper gigs with bands on stage.
Yeah.
And during the day it's more tables with modules, and people just like, you don't know when it starts, you don't know when it ends.
Yeah.
So, and old people sometimes like this during the
That's fun.
venue. It's great.
Yeah. So do you feel, because nature, do you think nature is a big theme in your work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think
it's a big thing?
Yeah,
in our
big
life,
thing in everyone's life, I guess. Do you think modular is a
Because
good?
everything is nature.
Yeah.
A city as well.
Yeah, true. Do you think modular scents are a good way of translating one's affinity with nature?
I think, strangely, I don't know why I have this feeling, but I think electronic instruments, including working in the box, got something more related to nature than sometimes. I think the worst example is the piano, because it's like torture on a piece of wood. It's really kind of like Western, narrow-minded, like it's really weird, it's like 3 strings doing the same notes. It's like, just those 12 notes, like different octaves, and it's really lots of force on a piece of wood. Yeah. And so I do, but I love it as well. I'm using piano, I'm using violin, and I think violin is it's amazing instruments as well. But I don't know. There is a mystery, and electronic is like kind of like organic, like lots of. It's a good representation of nature. Works the same kind of.
Yeah.
I've long been a fan of Yann's work, so it was a privilege to be able to discover new aspects of his artistry. Massive thanks to Yann and his team for accommodating us. Across these conversations, what's become clear is that traditions aren't static relics from the past. This adventure has highlighted that they are ever-evolving, propellant forces. From the vision behind Celtic Connections, to the intimate language of trad sessions, to boundary-pushing artists like Yann Tiersen, there's a shared thread, a deep respect for heritage paired with a curiosity for what comes next. In Glasgow, that balance feels so alive. You feel it in the energy of Celtic Connections, where global influences meet local traditions, and in the smaller spaces where musicians gather to share an ancient and beautiful common language. Thank you, as ever, for watching Adventures in Sound.